All right, here it goes. This is my first YouTube upload for many months. I've since been on Facebook Live, and I was going to see if I could transfer some of my Facebook Live to YouTube, but they really make you jump through the hoop to be able to do that. And it was my intention anyway to what I was sharing on Facebook Live to share on YouTube. Where can I start and who can I address this to? What I'm about to share came out of some research documents from Dr. Pollack, the guy that used structured water and did testing on structured water to find out the various properties that it has. So I guess I'll be addressing that crowd, the crowd of water, the different water wizards out there. And in the past, well, I guess I grew up back in the 80s, 90s. I think I've been around people that had those little stir sticks that you would put in your coffee and you would stir it and it would restructure the water. I think I might have some interest. This is going back about 25, 30 years ago. I think I might have known a little bit about other forms of structured water and maybe a little bit of knowledge concerning water memory that one Japanese scientist that was doing. So this really intrigued me, and I guess there's two backgrounds that I could share with you. I shared this story with my friend down in Texas about and having researched Dr. Pollack's work. I can say that there's more to his work. There's more to his work. There's more properties concerning that water in the forest state. And so my observations shows me that those observations were done in a liquid suspension, whether it be gel or water. It was still in the second state of water. Water is energetic, but it's not as energetic as the next phase. And so that's what I want to get into. That I believe that I've seen restructured water in the third state, and the restructured water wasn't vortexed, but the restructured water was generated by taking a sprayer, a very, very fine sprayer on a hose, and passing the mist, the very fine mist, through a magnet with the north side up. And the Lord God of heaven spoke to me how to do all this stuff, right? I had a garden in Vancouver. I didn't have money, I made a raised bed. I didn't have money to, put compost and fertilizer and stuff like that on it. And so the Lord showed me to take two 1x4s and suspend them at about the close to the 10-foot level. And I had two sprayers with two big speaker magnets with the north side up. He said, make sure to put the north side up. And to water on the hottest part of the day when the sun is nice and bright. So after researching Dr. Pollack's work, that one of the characteristics of this restructured water, where it starts to generate a very strong negative charge, is that RV, the energy from the sun will restructure the water, have an effect. The radiation from the sun has an effect on structured water that's in the second phase of matter, right? I know it's suspended in the water phase, but it's not energetic. It's still in the bottle. That potential is still in the bottle. And the way that you bring it out of the bottle to change the environment around you, what I used uh, in a, if you're able to replicate that, where you take your water and you spray it through a magnet to where the water's affecting the water that's at the interface between the second state and the third state of water. It's not in the third state, but it's water in the second state, but in a very liberated state, right? So you got more saturation of UV energy hitting these water crystals that been passed through a magnet, and not even vortex yet. I didn't know about vortexing at that time. Maybe, but if you would vortex the water prior to magnetizing the water by pushing it through the north field, you kind of see where I'm going with this. So we know tests have been done in the solid state to create the crystals. So you have the living water crystal, like the water crystal itself. You got the ice crystal. But could this crystal state of the water, this fourth state of water, exist between the second state and the third states of matter, right? So it's right at the interface from going from the second state into the third state. So I would be assuming here that the water being passed through being affected by the magnetic field brings it to that intermediate state between the second state and third state. So that's the condition of the water as it's rising up and heating up by the sun. Now, when I was doing this, I was watching this. I had banana squash leaves that were over 4 feet across, and my squash, even I had it on a trellis, was between 14 to 16 feet tall, and I was averaging squashes that would weigh between 23 to 24 pounds every other day. 23, 24 pound squash, 24 inches in diameter. I think they were around 23 inches long, between 23 and 24 inches long. They were, growing at a super speed. It was incredible. And I didn't think much of it. I didn't really think much of it at the time, and until I got talking to my friend in Texas, which is he's a soil engineer, expert in hugelculture, and he had a business where he went around taking manure tea and vortexing the mature tea to get it to increase the micro potential within the spray. So that easy water or energetic water, so that spray was enhanced with this energetic water, with restructured water. So as I was watching it, and the Lord said, spray in the hottest part of the day. And I'm not educated, I'm not trained in, I got my high school, that's it. No college degree. The Lord has been my teacher, right? I can look at what Dr. Pollack was doing, and the Lord takes it further. He takes his work further, because I'm not seeing just with the mind of the intellect, but the Lord has imprinted His spirit of understanding on my mind to understand the hidden potential within nature that the Creator created anyway, to understand it. So this mist going up, it sprayed pretty high, maybe 5-6 feet high. So I get a lot of spray going up, at the 10-foot level. It would spray way up in the air. And as it did on the hottest part of the day, those water droplets would like implode. They would just go from fine to being super, super, super fine. And it created such a fine mist where each water droplet was the size of a particle of light, light reflecting off a dust particle. That's what it was like. And it created this rainbow effect of, it wasn't just a rainbow when the sun passed through it. It just didn't create a rainbow. That it's like the rainbow broke apart and you had all these rainbows in this cloud. It was just a sparkling rainbow cloud. And it could be that the structured water, or at least a partially structured water from the magnet, was being enhanced by the RF energy of the sun. So the energy of the sun was being absorbed by this restructured water, and to where that energy was being fed directly into the plant. And sitting back just about an hour ago, I was kind of contemplating all this, and kind of go over my thoughts and try to understand it. And the Holy Spirit was showing me that the restructured water, that the effects between the structured water and on the cusp of the second and third states of matter, that it changes, it goes into the highest energetic state, and to where it's very dispersed. It's like water vapor becoming steam. That there's still a crystal lattice formation. That this gas cloud, so to speak, was still structured, but was very energetic. It much more refined, much more absorbent, able to take in where the easy water effect became very powerful. So maybe you had some kind of where the protons of the sun would react very quickly with this restructured water that was brought between the second phase and third phase into very fine mist. So it's charged very fast, able to capture the energy of the sun to cause a very fast reaction. It would cause the water to restructure, to recombine, and to be structured on a much faster note, much more energetic. Okay, and I was watching it. I was seeing the fruit of my labor, not thinking much of it. And so I'm reaching out to you out there, and especially to the Christian communities, because we're coming into a time that we're going to have to know how to grow food. And we know from what Mike from around the world has been sharing about cosmic energy, the 5 ways of energy, right? On Paul's channel there. The guy is such a great teacher. That Pastor Paul's channel, right? That Paul Begley's channel. He is saying that we're going to see holes punched into the atmosphere where there's going to be weak spots where the cosmic energy is going to come through, and that this is going to cause great havoc biologically and with the vegetation. Well, what say if you using this, creating this magnetized water, restructured water, making a very fine mist to where you make it very absorbent to the energy of the sun, so that where that restructuring takes on a higher form. It maybe even could reverse polarity. Who's to say that it's not positive and negative, right? Because you're bringing it to another phase. So now, well, we know that the earth is the negative. We know that the roots of plants are negative. We know that the top side of the plants uh, are affected by the north magnetic field, and that the roots are affected by the south magnetic field. So you could polarize water. Uh, if you want to water the top part of the plants, the leaves and the stem and all that, you'd use the north magnetic field. But if you want to water the ground, you would use the south field, because that water would be pulled in to the roots, would be absorbed directly into the roots. That's how you would do it. But now we've got this cosmic energy that's going to be a big deal. And is it possible that when the sun hits this vapor mist, this magnetic vapor mist, that there's an exchange of energy that takes place there? There's a process that goes on to where you're going to have the perfect energy needed for the plants. But not just that. We know that the cosmic energy has to do with photonic energy, protons coming in, and it's these high-speed particles that have the biological effect that can knock out a gene in something, right? It's going to affect the very makeup of matter. But is it possible, if this envelope, this water envelope could be created, it could be made into a water envelope, so when the cosmic energy from the sun hits it, that's going to maybe nullify the danger of this cosmic energy hitting the earth. In other words, it might provide a environment or an envelope in which to grow food. When the energy of the sun, when the cosmic energy of the sun is going to be burning everything up. So the cosmic energy of the sun is intensifying. The photonic bursts of energy are intensifying. And could it be that if you created this water canopy that would provide a protective barrier in the same way that when the water canopy existed before the flood, that it protected the earth, right? And it would be in my estimation too that the water canopy above the earth was crystalline. It was a crystalline canopy, right? And so you can see the crystalline effects in water. What about, can you see the crystalline effects of water in the air? Right? It's going to change the environment. It's going to change the energy and make it compatible. So it may this canopy may offer as a filter to filter out the dangerous radiations. And so I'm just throwing that out there. And I guess a person would have to substantiate this, and like for there's very a lot of ways to vortex water, to structure water. Vortexing water probably be the most probably the quickest and easiest way to do it. Just to use a lily impeller and a tower of water and get it to vortex. That way you can make up many different types of solutions. For making compost tea, right? You can make different types of compost tea that's highly energetic. And but to create this mist, I think this will really be incredible. So I've seen a few devices. I went to this one site and he had a link to these other sites. So I watched how other people were doing it, and as magnets were going through my head too. How could you combine magnets to where it's going to work out the best? And where I saw two magnets put together, when they repelled each other, right? You couldn't push them together, but if you put another steel washer over top, And then those two magnets that repelled each other would now stick together, and she would have some kind of conjugal phase, some kind of uh, it goes into a face, right? And it creates a different effect. So that could be used on the sprayer nozzle. Then behind that, you could use the glass balls or marbles or whatever. And I think what I would do is use round magnets instead of the glass. You can take your glass tube or your copper tube and put your round magnets in there, then pass the water over top of it. Maybe that's all you need to do. That could probably be like a preconditioning magnetic therapy, and to where it'll start to restructure the water. You know, like cause there's always steps in a process, so that would be the beginning steps. But as it goes through that those two magnets that are made to come together with the north field up, then that enhanced water goes through the final finishing process to where more of the magnetic energy is infused into the water, right? We're just talking about water as a medium traveling through a tube or a pipe, being influenced, uh, you know, by both the marbles or the round magnets or this other two magnets put together, right? You're still influencing the second state of matter. It's very dense, and penetration. You're going to have a very strong magnetic field to really penetrate into that water. But you don't need that. You don't need that. You can condition the water. That'd be step one. So on your final, where the water, you could have it vortex. You could have a vortex. Then you could restructure it with the marbles or magnets. And so the final process would be taking that restructured water, vortex water, it's structured water, right? And you take that and you pass it through a strong magnetic field, single magnet. I think what I would do, I would take that double magnet, those two magnets that are bonded together. Now I put the spray nozzle there because it's going to be very strong, very energetic. So you just need your structured water in the second state of matter, and as it comes up and it sprays to the magnet to create your mist, now you got structured water that's going into an interface, like gas. Gas easily evaporates, but it's still in the wet state, right? And as it further evaporates, it eventually goes into a full gas state. Same as when you boil water, it becomes steam. Steam is the transitionary state, and when it goes into superheated steam, then you actually have the dry state of matter. So that's what you're doing with the water, this restructured water, passing through the into this fine water mist, being the second state of matter, but it's at the higher end. And as the sun hits it, it actually causes the structured water that's in the second state to go into the final phase, which is very, very energetic, just like where wet steam goes, expands, or where water expands to become steam, and where steam expands to become superheated steam, right? So it becomes a very, very strong carrier of energy. So you're creating that energy barrier. So I guess a person could substantiate some test results by taking, if you had a tube set up here with your marbles in it, and you got a funnel on the bottom, and a funnel. You could have it in the bottom of a jar, I guess, Then you'd have a funnel on the top with your marbles inside, and you'd pour your water into a funnel. And you might do that a number of times, right? You get that water restructured, and then take it and put it in a freezer, and maybe use a an egg holder, right? An egg holder that you could probably get an ounce or two of water in there, right? So that's your test 1 batch. And your test 2 batch would be where you'd pass the water. You'd have your 2 magnets that are bonded together with an iron plate, and you put your funnel in the top and you drop your water through, right? And you do that a number of times. These tests have probably been done already, and then you take that, you put that into your second egg cup and freeze it. So when you freeze it, it's going to bring out the memory, so the energy that's in the water, you'll be able to see it when it freezes, right? You'll be able to capture the frequency as it freezes. And maybe you might do a combination. You might do a combination of using the round glass balls, and going through where it passes through those two magnets. And you could do a third test where you take, because you run your water through the system first, right? No spray. You're not aerosoling the restructured water yet. So when you take your mister and put your 2 magnets around with north field up, that the energy of that within the vortex of the magnetic field is going to be absorbed by the mist. There's going to be some sort of bonding, like the water's already in the restructured process. Now it's going into another phase change into a higher energized state. So as it's the energy from the sun heats up that water, it makes the complete phase change. So now that you have this energized water, this restructured water, this easy water, that's made into a mist. Now it's made into a mist where it's free. The potential is unlocked, and it builds. It makes this beautiful incandescent cloud. And I was looking at this cloud, all the colors of the rainbow, and you had all these diamonds of light, these little microscopic prisms, there's countless billions of these. So it was broken down to very, very, very fine. So I think this is the way that we're going to have to go, especially for the Christian communities. I think using that concept of that water and combining it with sound frequency, there's a way that you should be able to focus 432 and 528 and 927. I think it's 927 hertz. Be able to interface those frequencies to produce a fourth function, another entity, right? You can bring, just like, imagine taking 3 beams of light and being able to focus them into one. So you got 3 beams of light, but each beam of light is a different frequency, and when combined, it produces a fourth frequency. So you'll be able to take 3 frequencies of sound that are energetic, that plants love, right? And be able to use that to condition the air, right? The frequency. You're enhancing the frequency of the water, so that the restructured water and the enhancing of the frequency of the sound go together to produce a Garden of Eden effect. It should be possible to grow food at least 2 to 3 times faster, not using any kind of fertilizer at all. We know that the you can enhance the roots by adding water that's been polarized to the southern magnetic field. That's really going to give the roots a super immune system, right? You have to use a reverse field on the ground. While on the air top side of the ground, you'd use water that's been ionized with the north field. So, like ionized water is like little magnets like this, right? Where you can flip them back and forth. So you would have to have an opposite effect. And if you got restructured water going one direction, lining up, you would have to have another one going this way, one going out, one going in. Everything has equal and opposite. So there has to be another side to what Dr. Pollack is talking about. It has to be a whole other side to it, to where you enhance where you create the positive energetic, right? And as well as the negative energetic. Now you got two sides of the dipole. Now you got dipole water that's separated into the left hand and into the right hand, right? So it's getting everything into balance, getting the water into balance, into alignment, by bringing the sound into alignment, by and bringing the earth into alignment, bringing everything into alignment. There's no reason why you can't grow food between 2 to 3 to 5 times faster, or maybe even 10 times faster. I know that you can grow food 10 times faster because I was going to be introduced to this friend when I was living in Edmonton, outside of Edmonton, and he was he's being I think he was ex-Navy, but the ex-Navy was watching him, and he came up with a way to be able to grow food 10 times faster, but he couldn't talk about it because he was always being monitored. He couldn't talk about it. He wouldn't discuss it, and so I made arrangements to try to find this guy and talk to him, and that didn't work out. But I believe what he is working on was something to what I'm sharing now, by learning to realign, because when you realign the energy within water, it allows the bad stuff to pass through, right? So the water in the magnetized state, in the restructured state, that's and what the Lord told me a few hours ago, that the alignment of the water being aligned, right, being in the right condition, that it increases the photosynthesis process. It speeds it up, and it increases the metabolism. And I'm not sharing anything that I've seen in any scientific journals. I'm just speaking from what's coming out. I'm just sharing the understanding as it's coming to me by the Spirit of the Lord, right? And Nikola Tesla, he had that insight. He was able to understand how creation works, and the secrets of creation. He was able to unlock them. And I believe that restructured water is also one of the keys to unlock where you could actually create a Garden of Eden. In a time of famine that we're coming into, growing food is going to become number one. Okay? Number one. So you could actually create this mist on a sunny day. But what you do, you put a sheet down and you collect that water and condense it. That would be your third test subject. So you have a sample of water that's been restructured using the marbles. You would have water that would be taken as the water passes through these two magnets that are bonded together by a steel plate, right? And just by water passing through, not being sprayed. That's your second test subject. Your third test subject would be taking the water. It's pretty hard to capture the water that's being sprayed through. I guess you would have to have it to go through a tube, because you want to magnetize the water that you magnetize the mist. Then you'd have to recapture that mist, and that would be a third test subject. And your fourth test subject is where you allow that mist to rise up. You allow the sun to do its thing to enhance it, and I think it brings out a lot of free radicals, right? A lot of moving energy, electrons, right? So this cloud is actually energized, it's polarized, and also energized. It has a minor electrical charge and high static charge to the water. And so you allow that to fall on the sheet and to condense, and that would be your fourth test. So I think I could set up for this. I would have to get the marbles, and as far as the tube, I got copper. I could use copper, put the marbles in the copper pipe and try that, maybe alongside one in a plastic tube, right? In a PVC or something like that, just to see if there's going to be any difference. It'd be interesting to find that out. And then to pass it through that, I would have to use a, if you're holding your magnet as 1 inch, you could probably use a 1 inch tube and pass the water through that tube. Then you could try a combination of the marbles and that double magnet system. Okay, so you're just testing water that's in the fluid state. And then you want to test water that's being atomized, right? Being atomized and affected by the sun, and and to measure it. So I think it'd be possible to make it. I would have to get the magnets. I can find myself an old microwave. I think I can get the magnets from there. Take it apart. Just be careful to take the microwave apart and pull out those two magnets. And that would make the polarizer, right? The realignment field to polarize the the water, and see what it does as a mist, right? It should, because it's broken down finer, it should be absorbing more of the electrical energy or the magnetic energy, and it'd be very interesting. So like I'm saying, I'm not educated as far as man's ways. I'm just sharing this one thing the Lord told me to do about growing a garden. Well, how it happened anyway, I got my garden growing in downtown east side Vancouver. We were actually living up near Broadway, near the Broadway station, and we had the back. The house was divided between the top, and we had the basement, right? So we had basically the backyard. The people upstairs had the front yard. So I had room to get a garden together. I built a raised bed that was 5 by 8, 5 by 10, and fairly deep, 1.5 to 2 feet of raised bed. I had a trellis in the center, and I put a pitched roof on the top about the 8 foot. I think the peak was about 8 feet. Then I put 8-inch page wire over top of the roof, and from there I put 2 boards at the 10-foot mark, 2 1x4s that were sandwiched together vertically, with 1.5 inch spacing in between, with my 2 misters going up with a 3-inch, or I might have had 4-inch magnets out of a speaker and use that. So I should be able to replicate that effect. And so do the water testing. So I need to look around for a microwave that someone's going to throw away. And so I can build that apparatus. I would have to get the marbles, but I would also like to get. I got some samples here. I can actually show you. This might give me the idea. So I have these here. So if you took these magnets here, right? You take these magnets here, and see, I'm going to get a piece of copper. Okay, this is just a test sample off another test. So what I want to do is I have to hold it up here to demonstrate it. So I'm going to take this magnet, see if it's going to go through the bottom. No, it won't go through. Let's see if I got a bigger pipe. Well, I got some samples around. Oh, that won't fit either. Okay. So I'm going to have to find the right size of copper. So this is a little on the big side. And but anyway, this is going to be our system for the preconditioning to pass it through the. So this would be a partial restructuring. So I just fill it up. You see how the magnet kind of floats down. So I take a smaller pipe. This one's too big. So I put the water through here. I could use, instead of using magnets, I could use marbles. So I'll put the magnets away. So I need to pick up some large marbles. You know, marbles like this, like that. You know, like this here. I don't know if you can see them or not. You just have to be round. And do a test between the marbles. I'll try to match the size to the magnets. So I could do 2 tests. Two tests side by side and freeze it. Let's see if there's a difference. And so I have to make the pipe, the copper pipe, and the. How could I do that? Okay, I'm gonna take that copper pipe. Then I would take those 2 magnets and I'll put it over the outside of the copper pipe. So the marbles would be in here, and those 2 magnets here bonded by a steel plate would be there. And maybe have some hose connectors to go on the end, so you could actually fit it in line. So I need to make some kind of inline magnetic restructuring device. And just passing the water over the marbles is going to get it going. You have to get the ball going, right? You have to get the ball going. As it does, it picks up speed. So you're getting the momentum of the process going. That's what the round balls would do, or should. And then as it goes through those two magnets that are bonded, forced together, they're in opposition. They're repelling each other, but with that metal plate, they lock together. So it creates a different kind of magnetic field. I forget the name for it. It was very interesting. And so you could take a sample of the water just with the marbles, a sample of the water just going through the copper tube with no marbles on the inside, right? So you'll be able to get a reading on the marbles, a reading on the double magnets, and a reading on the combinations. That's your 3 test samples. So your next test sample, where you would take your restructured water and you take your magnet and you mist it through, right? Because when you have the magnet around the copper pipe, you're passing water through it, right? Water, it's still in the second state of matter, still in the fluid state. Well, when you spray it, it's becoming much more refined. That means there's a greater surface area to be affected by the magnetic field. It's going to pick it up faster. It's going to absorb faster. And so I could do a test sample of that. And when it goes through the influenced by the radiation of the sun, then you would collect that, condense that back, and take a sample of that to go through all 4 tests. I think that's going to tell the story. So at least you'll have a basis to start from. And so if you freeze the water, take some pictures of it. And so as you take each step, it's going to be a learning curve. You'll be able to observe the effects of restructured water. And that should work out. I believe it will. If you can take water and freeze it to isolate the frequency, because the water is taking on memory. Memory is going into the water, the restructured water. So the restructured water would be like a hard drive that's clean, a clean hard drive, right? And what I would like to do is to, I could try it with I think I would try this with the restructured water, because the water would be clarified. Then I would take that, hold it in my hands, and just project love energy into that water, the intention of love, right? You can project love as an energy force that can be projected by intention. When you see someone, you can, part of that intention can go out and it can touch them, right? And it's an energy that can be felt. Heat is an energy that can be felt. Plants love and affection. Plants hate rock and roll, but they love gospel music. Isn't that amazing? And so I could take that little 8 container of water and just pray for it. This is I pray the peace of all understanding to go into this water, or I pray that this water will blossom with the love of God, to imprint your intention on it, and freeze it to see what happens when you kind of use restructured water as the test base. There's other things. One other thing that I've done with restructured water, I didn't know that I was restructuring the water at the time, and I believe it falls in line with Dr. Pollack's work, but it's creating this mist, right? That You take the water. If the water is combined with not a protein, but if the water is combined, say, with a fuel, right? We know that water is used to make gasoline, right? Water is used to make gasoline. See what happened if you make gasoline out of restructured water? What would it do? If you made gasoline out of restructured water. Now, what if you can make gasoline out of restructured water that's in the aerosol state? Maybe, I don't know if it'd be third state, it could be third state. And the reason I said this, when I made what got me interested in a lot of stuff happened around 98, 99. I think I had my garden about that time. It's getting on to be almost an hour. That I was making water gas. Right? Taking water and gas and bubbling air through it. And I would put it into this plastic containment, into this 1 gallon jar. So now when I think back, I think what I've learned tonight on what Dr. Pollack has shared, I've had a little bit of background knowledge, but he's kind of pulled it together to where you could really understand it. So taking his observations and combining it with the observations of this fuel that I accidentally stumbled across. So I would have this one. I'm going to be finished about 10 minutes here. So I had this water vapor contained in a 1 gallon plastic jug, upside down. And I had a cap on the bottom, and I had a piece of 1/4 inch copper that I melted in there as an orifice. Yeah, you know, those 1 gallon juice cans are fairly heavy, right? The ones that have the real heavy ripples and it's got the shrink wrap. Remember that kind? Those juice containers. And anyway, all I had for a test shed was just a little shed, and I took a long piece of 1x4 or something like that, and it's fairly long. So I duct taped the board to the container, right? If this was the container, I duct taped the board like this, and I nailed it to the side of the shed. And I waited until it was very hot to do this, right? So I would let the sun, the radiation of the sun, energize the fuel. I would leave it there for a couple of minutes, because I knew that it was doing something. It was doing something. I knew it intuitively. God put that understanding in me that something was happening, that the sun was having an effect on this water gas vapor. And so I stood back with a very long match, and I lit it. Remember, I had had it wrapped up with about a half a roll of duct tape, and I had those really heavy ripples on it, right? It wasn't going to go anywhere. So when I lit it, I was looking directly at it, standing back here with this match. When I lit it, it just disappeared. I didn't see it leave. It had so much thrust. My eyes weren't fast enough to catch it. That must be pretty fast. It was about 60, 70 feet up in the air. And it left a trail, a plasma trail, what I believe to be a plasma trail, the fourth state of matter, because it was burning so fast. It wasn't hydrogen. It wasn't a fuel that I haven't come across, It burned so fast. It burned so fast, and I proved it out to be true on my bench tests. It burned so fast, as you would hold it up into the sun, you could see the gas vapor dropping in the bottle. And this would be a second to second and a half reaction for that gallon of vapor fuel to be burnt, to be spent. But it created a ionized reaction that the flame was super fast. It was faster than any jet or any rocket propulsion. Some kind of plasma burst. But the reaction was so fast that as it burnt down, as the fuel burnt down, as I watched it burn down, it would suck the bottom of the container, pull it in about almost 2 inches. Can you imagine that? That a full vacuum, as the fuel was burning down, it left a state of vacuum behind. So how fast was that flame velocity? It was definitely more than just third state. It must have been a fourth state or some kind of ionized burn. Brilliant 3-foot flame, about that round. About that round. It was like a blue-white. Just pure white in the center, and the outside was blue. Right, pure white in the center. And about maybe a second burn, a second and a half burn. Very high thrust velocity and supersonic. The flame was coming out so fast it was ultrasonic. So that might have been where the air was bubbled through the water and gas mix, that it created some kind of distillant, right? So maybe part of that maybe the water part shifted into it became polarized. Another way, between that and the sun, that the water became polarized. So this is something, probably has many different rabbit holes that you could develop out of the ionized state. And but I believe that I've seen this restructured water in the third state of matter, not just as an ice crystal or as a water crystal, like a liquid crystal, but as something else. And it's like the structured water was much more refined, much more broken up. It took up a much greater void, and it expanded. It just expanded, 1,000 times, maybe 10,000 times. That energy was released. The genie was released out of the body. I'm hoping that I should have had my mic here. I'm going to finish off at 1 hour. So I'll be uploading this to YouTube. I'm just a simple person taught by the Lord. That's my education. So I'm reaching out to all you people out there on YouTube that are affiliated with different universities around the world that understand Dr. Pollack's work. I like to understand, have I actually come across something, found something a little different? Going to leave it here. My name is Don Taylor, and voice behind KING Radio. I have a little radio program on Facebook Live. So I'm going to upload this to YouTube. I would sure like to get some positive feedback on this from people that are in the know. I also understand that most of science, there is a hidden part of science. There's a hidden part of science. You got conventional science, which is within a measured unit. You got science that can be measured. Science that's within a box, right? But outside that box, there's another realm of science, and that that is not allowed into the public arena, like the space-based operations and things like that, colonies on Mars, colonies on the moon, mining helium-3, different stuff like this. So there's lots of stuff that's not public knowledge, more so than what's in the box. So maybe what I'm sharing, it could be one of those things that are outside the box, where universities and that they're only allowed a certain percentage, less than 10% of what is really known. We know that spacecraft technology is at least advanced 1,500 years. They have light craft. They have crafts faster than light, right? So there's lots of technology out there. But the times are coming into people, coming into these 5 ways of energy, all this cosmic energy from planet 7X, the pole shift, the binary system. The Earth is being affected. And as Nibiru goes by, it's going to send the Earth crashing into 7 years of intense famine, and we're right on the edge of it. So we need to think about a new way of growing food. Not growing food with fertilizer, right? When you use chemical fertilizers, you're not getting the nutrition that you would get, if you had fertilizer that was natural, where you make the earth energetic, where the earthworms do the work for you. And the earthworms, when they eat the ground, when they eat the compost, and that's the best plant food that you can get. And so we need to get away from chemical fertilizers. And I believe it's very possible by combining these different techniques of structured water, where you could actually structure the air, you can structure the water, and you can structure the soil, and to where you could at least grow food 250, maybe 300, maybe 500% faster, to be able to grow a garden in 21 days, to have a crop in 21 days. If I was asked to have a goal, that's what it would be, to be able to grow a full crop in 21 days. And I think you can with restructured water, with the ionization from the radiation of the sun, feeding the plants the right energetic sound frequencies. And yeah, I think it's going to work. So I'm going to leave it in your hands. Remember, I'm not educated. I just got high school. But God's been my teacher. Same as Victor Schoberger. He said that nature was his teacher, right? But the Holy Ghost has been my teacher. The Lord shows me things. He gives me understanding of how things work. Not me. It's not me. The Lord shows me how things work. It's just a gift and an ability that is given me. I know it's not for myself, but I know it's for the times that we're coming into. Right? The Earth's coming into the 7 most difficult times in history. Mike around the world, he's been trying to warn people about it. He's the one that came out with the truth on climate change in 2009. Climate change has nothing to do with the Earth. It has to do with what's happening in the heavens. If the heavens are being shaken, or all the planets within our solar system are being shaken and affected as this binary twin goes around the sun and draws it and sucks the energy out of our sun to charge up its batteries, right? That our sun is changing and it's going dim. It's being put to sleep by this other planet going by. Whatever it is, right? Binary star. So going to leave it here, people. We really need to think about growing food and doing it smart. Times are coming where we're not going to be able to grow food outdoors, right? The ground's not going to be able to sustain crops. We may have to design environments that are under a dome. Well, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to do something. And, you know, the times that we're coming into a time, I believe we're prophetically, we're, you know, we're coming into late spring, early summer. By the time we come into early fall, I believe that's going to be the time that Lord Maitreya, the soul called the Christ, or this Messiah that's going to be Lord of all the religions of the earth, except for Christianity, is coming forth. That this new world, one world religion is going to rise up out of all this chaos, right? And that the church is going to go through this 42 days of the rule of the beast. And we know that the beast is not going to subdue all nations in the same way that Babylon did not subdue all nations during its time, right? Now there's going to be resistor nations. There's going to be resistor nations like America's called to be to resist the powers of the so-called elite. We know that Ireland and Scotland is not going to concede. So there are going to be nations and places and people that are going to resist the beast system. And the beast system through 5G technology, through this vaccine, you know, putting the making us to where we can be picked up and monitored and controlled and interfaced with AI, you know, coming under AI control. That's what it's about. Is that, you know, Mike from around the world, he was saying that mankind, the ones that build the computers, that the genie's out of the bottle. That AI is now 2/3 of the way where mankind no longer has control over what AI does. Right? It's out of the box. AI is reprogramming itself. That is the spirit of the beast. You know, the beast is given breath. The beast is a system of things. It's this dark web. It's this Skynet. But this Skynet is being controlled by AI. AI is replicating itself. It's rewriting its own programs, and it's taken over about 2/3 of the internet, computer systems around the world, because it's infiltrated every aspect. So our fight is not just with the ones that are, you know, doing the work, but the spirit of the beast has come alive, right? And it may be that the beast is going to receive a deadly wound. In other words, God may intervene to short circuit the AI programming. And he can do that. He can wipe out, you know, he could send a solar flare right into one of these computers and it's going to be affected, right? He has his ways. But it's only going to wound the beast for a time until it's healed. And it might be a good thing if God takes out all these computers, where we're going to have to go back to doing things manually, right? May have to, and to have everything under digital control is to say that it's no longer in the hands of man to control, when everything becomes digital. And it looks like we're at that point now, and that the beast is rising up to try to take out the human race, to wipe the human race off the place of the planet, because the spirit of AI certainly isn't the creator. It's the opposite. That the spirit of the beast is the spirit of Antichrist, right? And the only thing that can oppose it would be the rising up of the spirit of the Creator within a people. By the times are entered into, we know that the beast is going to rule for 3.5 years, and this is going to be the most challenging time for God's people on the earth. But God is going to remove his people from the cities. God is going to remove his people from the system of things, because his judgment is going to fall upon all the cities. All the cities of the nation are going to be judged, from this much to totally being destroyed. God's going to take down the beast kingdom. And God's raising up a people that's going to take down the beast kingdom, because they're going to be walking in his power and his authority. And I'm talking about the 144,000. They're about to stand to their feet. And when they stand to their feet, that no force of this earth can touch them. They'll be unstoppable. You're not going to be able to touch them. And if you try to stop them, fire is going to come out of their mouths. Judgment is going to come out of their mouths. Whatever you sow, you're going to reap instantaneously. And so the powers, the powers of the age to come, that's going to be manifested in a people that's going to stand up against a counterfeit kingdom that's going to bring in a counterfeit golden age. The real golden age is going to be the millennial reign that's going to last for 1,000 years. The 1,000 years of Cain, God would not allow this 1,000 years of Cain to come in. Not going to allow it. That's the counterfeit. But for every counterfeit, there's a reality where God's bringing forth a new spiritual genesis. A spiritual genesis is taking place. And Genesis makes it very clear that the seed of the woman is going to crush the head of the beast. It's going to crush the head of the serpent, the head of the beast. Right? Kingdom against kingdom. But we're in that time that we are going to have to prepare for the climate chaos that is coming, and this all can be done. But food's going to become the number one. Can God make food grow in the deserts? Sure, certainly. But we need to do what we can. And taking restructured water, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start testing it, start making it, start taking it, and monitor the observations. Right? There's so many benefits to structured water. It's just incredible, and the testing is unbelievable. And I know it's very, very interesting. I find water very, very interesting, just like fire. I find fire very, very interesting. Okay, going to leave it here. I've got a work day tomorrow. I'm signing out. I know it's been a little bit long. I've covered a lot of ground, but I'd like to hear from you out there that are in the know. And I'm going to get this uploaded right away. Where's the stop button? There we go.